Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable. My name is Paul Dingham, and we're glad to have you along today. You've been picking up the Times Herald and the Voice, and you have noticed a big, huge story that both of these fine establishments are covering, and it's called the St. Clair Inn story. What's happening there? And we've got a couple guys here at the table, at the round table today, that are going to give us all of the details. The chairman of the board of the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners, Mr. Jeff Bohm, and the mayor of the city of St. Clair, Mr. Bill Cedar. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. What an exciting thing that's happening, and we thought we better get you both in here to give us a little background, little fill-in of what we've learned besides this. Jeff, let's start.
I guess we can start back to even turn the clock back 4 or 5 years ago, really. And I think, at that time we knew the St. Clair Inn, the path that was heading, and it wasn't good, obviously, at the time. And one of the things that we have a big regional planning group. It's called our Blue Meets Green group, that we talk about different projects, different priorities. And actually, the redevelopment of the St. Clair Inn was scored out number 7 on that through a whole, countywide stakeholders. And essentially what that does, when that goes on the list, it gives the county the ability to do some planning and work on different things to assist in the project. And really at that time the county had received a big brownfield grant. It was $1 million federal grant. It was specifically to work with distressed properties. So we put the St. Clair into that brownfield at that particular time, and we had a phase 1 environmental. We had a phase 2 environmental, and we had a hazardous materials survey accomplished. That took 4 months. And that was, a lot of money to do that. And essentially what you do with those is you're working on trying to, as I always call, put all the tools in the toolbox to help assist whomever comes along to purchase it. The county's been working really closely with the city of St. Clair on this through this whole process. So when somebody did come along, essentially we had our ducks in a row, and I'm going to have Mayor just talk a little bit about the historical piece of it too, because that was another thing that the county and city actually worked on with the historical piece to really assist with some of the tax credits. You want to touch a little bit about the historical district? And
well, yeah, being historic yourself, certainly appropriate.
Very historic. There's a compliment in there somewhere, right? Well, yeah, we put together a committee to form a historical district when Annette Sturdy, our city clerk, and myself, and Dan Lockwood, and a couple people from the historical commission, Sally Ackett's including. And long story short, we did a lot of research and talked to a lot of people at the state level, and decided that to protect the integrity of the historical aspect of the St. Clair Inn, a historical district was exactly what we needed. And so we went through the course of forming that, and now we can have some assurance that what happens to it will keep it historical. And also at the same time, if there's any kind of programs out there, state or federal or even county, as far as historical properties, that can help the potential developer. This story has been long and tried in the intricacies and the complexity of the title work, and all that was just so almost heart-wrenching at times as we tried to work our way through this. And I got to tell you, Jeff Bohm was a lot of help for us in the county. And there was a guy who was the caretaker down there. I call him. His name was Mike Witkowski, if you remember Mike. And he was this little rough and tumble guy who came up here, and I got to know him very well because every time I'd see him, I'd go in there and talk to him and say, "Come on, sell this place."
Work for the previous owner, you mean?
Yeah. He was just basically coming up here to make sure the place didn't fall down or anything like that. And every time we get close with a buyer, this guy would say, "It's sold, Bill, it's sold," and then something would happen. And one day I was driving down, well, I drive the street a lot, but his car was in, I pulled in, I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I'm here to meet the new owners." I said, Don't give me that, man. Jesus, please. And I was standing out there, and one of these guys pulls in, and Bohm went by in his truck, as a matter of fact, and called me and says, "Cedar, are you buying the inn today?"
Right.
I remember that, and I said, "No." I said, "I wish I could," but long story short, along came Jeff Katowski, and now all that is retrospect, and now we're moving forward, and I think we have a good guy here. I think he's going to be good for us.
Well, he appeared to be. You gentlemen pulled together a meeting of some business people. Chamber of Commerce and different commissions and groups in the city, and had people come and meet this Jeff. Meeting went very well. You did a great job as the master of ceremonies, and I think one of the kicks I got out of that meeting was your first statement. You said to the assembled crowd, how many in this room have worked at the St. Clair Inn? And about half the room raised their hands. So that sort of opened it up, and he seemed to be very receptive to the people that he met.
Yeah, I tell you, that went very well. We had a really strong attendance there. And one of the things, we had met with him a month previous. The first time I had met with him myself, Mayor Cedar, Mike Booth, and Jim Downey, he came to town. And, you know, we asked the questions, how does somebody from Southern California show up on our doorstep?
Right.
And, you know, the thing that I was really impressed with him, because everybody knows the legal issues and the previous owners and, you know, all the, you know, bad stuff per se associated with it, he stood right up there and took all the questions from the audience. I mean, I don't think there was any questions that weren't asked.
Correct.
How he got the property, where he's at today, steps moving forward, very open and honest. And I got a chance to spend Wednesday with him, and then Wednesday night, then we had a working group on Thursday. And, you know, like anything, there's always skepticism out there, but I can tell you personality-wise, the man has the ability and the wherewithal to pull the project off. And a lot of times we meet with individuals that they got great ideas, but they can't write the check. You know, this man has the ability. And on that Thursday meeting, Mayor Cedar was out of town. He didn't get a chance to attend, but Mike Laporte was there. We put a working group together because there was a lot of questions that came up in the previous meeting. And I said, we are going to have anybody and everybody sitting in that room that can answer the questions. We had representatives from the MEDC. We had the guys that run the historical stuff for the state of Michigan. We had our planning department, which is conduit for the MDOT piece. We had our lobbying firm. We had the community foundation members, our brownfield folks, you know. And we spent, that was a 3-hour meeting. It was an actual working meeting that a question would come up, and we were able to direct them to, you know, the
right person.
The right person.
Because they were there.
Because I said there was no way I was going to have this guy coming from California with his team of people, and I got to get back with you. I got to do more research.
Let's have the answer now.
Yeah, and we did. It was a great meeting. I can tell you I spent a bunch of time with Jeff after that meeting, introduced some local architects. He's actually going to be working with we have a lobbying firm. We don't use them necessarily for lobbying. We use them for more grant writing and assistance. He has hired that particular firm to help with the state because they have all the connections. We have a high level of confidence with them from the county's end. So really happy with the team that he is assembling to help move this project forward. It's still a big project, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is $10, $12 million kind of stuff, right? And so I don't think you're going to see, I mean, I know the next question everybody's going to ask is, hey, when's this thing going to be open? When are they going to start?
My daughter's getting married next week, and I want to have a reception.
Yeah. And I realistically, I think you're looking at a 4 to 6 month period as far as before they start,
you see some action.
Seeing some action, because there are so many of the other, state incentives programs, brownfield. These things are, there's a lot to them. Fortunately, the county's just been through 2 of them recently. We had the convention center facility along with the Thomas Edison, and then we're very involved in the Marine City Hotel project. So we've learned, more than I can care to, I guess, or ever thought I would have regarding hotels and properties. But St. Clair Inn is the cornerstone to St. Clair. Let's face it, you talk to any of the business owners down there, they'll tell you, their business is down because of the St. Clair. Even when it was not run well, it was still
a destination.
Yeah.
One of the things that impressed me in reading about this gentleman and his father is their involvement in Little League. And they were both from California, and they were very active in Little League as a father and a son, and then as a son and his children in California Little League. But to me, if anybody's involved in that kind of a thing, they got to be pretty decent people.
Yeah, I mean, you can Google a guy. I mean, he's obviously an attorney, so he's been involved in, like, he'll tell you, a million lawsuits. That's just the nature of the beast, But highly educated. Father was a super successful businessman out in California. We had ironically, one of the local people here works for his father's real estate company for multiple years.
16 years.
16 years, and had a lot of good things to say about the father, So I think there's a lot of the stars lining up. I mean, we go into this, like anything, there's some skepticism, is moving forward. You want to make sure that the individuals perform and produce and those types of things. But he's the best guy that's rolled across our doorstep in 3 or 4 years that we've been involved in.
One of the things that came out of that meeting, too, the one on Wednesday evening at the Voyager, was he had a question regarding what he was going to do with the north end of the structure, the current motel part. Was he going to keep it? Was he going to tear it down?
Yeah, one of the things that he talked about was, in there again, it's so early in the stages, I mean, right now I think the focus is to keep it and obviously put a bunch of money into it to rehab, restore it. But things can change too, as you well know, because some of the discussions they even had across the street as far as what to do with those old buildings and things. There were some different ideas from the state of Michigan with a meeting with MEDC, some of those things. So I think till you see some more concepts, it's really early, like I said, it's early in the game. Very, fortunate and happy, I think, to have Jeff here, and we're gonna do whatever we can to help us just to put this thing.
But the confidence level is there, and it's the best thing you've seen come down the pike in a long, long time.
I can tell you, between the city attorney and county attorney, and those guys are pretty good about, as I always say, crawling up one side and the other, and vetting this and checking this things out, and he definitely has checked out at that next level for us.
I'll tell you one thing, that the first night he came to town, I met with him for about 6 hours at the Voyager, then Murphy's. And one thing that he impressed upon me, and I was very impressed by it, was he said, he's a lawyer, he's a businessman, he owns a baseball team, he's in all kinds of real estate deals, but he said, my number one thing is my family. And I like that when he said that, because that's important. He didn't say, my number one thing is my baseball team, my number one thing is my law firm or whatever.
Right.
He says, my family.
Right.
And he speaks very highly and very proud of his sons. So I think that tells you something about him,
Yeah, I think they appear to be very substantial people, like the people in St. Clair County, who are just getting up every day and going to work and trying to make a living and try and keep their families together and have a happy family life.
So, their family and kids are important to him, And this guy's out in California and swinging big deals, and he'll tell you straight up, my wife and my kids.
Yep. So the plans are to stand by and watch at this point.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot more discussions with a lot of the stakeholders. Like I said, the person that's spearheading it here is actually Mike Hilfinger is his name. He works for the county's lobbying firm. That they actually hired their firm to put a lot of this together, which Mike's done a lot of work on the Marine City Hotel project too. It just like you need somebody out there, the field general per se, that's working with a lot of the different state agencies and get an understanding, because development in Michigan is definitely, some of the state programs are different than what they have in California, which is different than what they have in Ohio.
Each one's different.
Each one's different, yeah. And there's going to be a lot of stuff coming, I'm sure, conceptually, and just how this is going to play out in the next 4 to 6 month period. We just wanted to kind of get in here today to talk a little bit about, because obviously the buzz is here. If I haven't had 50 people, it's 100 people that have asked me, is this guy for real, so on and so forth. And I get an opportunity in my position to see anything and everything that's going on, essentially countywide. And this is really, for me, granted St. Clair's home, but this is really the last big piece per se that's holding that from an economic development standpoint, that really we got to get this thing back and running and in play for St. Clair and the region. It's just, it is that important.
He mentioned, I think, that it's been pretty close to a decade or more that the building's been neglected and the business has been neglected. So he was aware of that, and it didn't scare him off.
One of the things that after we got done with that meeting on Wednesday, he said, I knew this was a significant project for St. Clair, but I don't think I even understood at how important it is after the show of support that was in that room. I hate to say it, if you open it up, the Community Foundation sponsored it. If you opened it up just to everybody, you probably would have 500 people would have showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul, you were there. You were there. Maybe there's 60, 70 people there. A lot of good questions. A lot of the people. So far so good. I definitely feel a lot better after having a series of meetings and spending time with him that this thing is going to, come to fruition.
There's one final rumor, and that is that Bill Cedar is going to be the chef. Is there any truth to
It's okay. How do you feel about goulash, spaghetti, eggs?
Yeah,
Parmesan chicken, you're all right with that?
He might be cooking in the lounge.
I'll tell you another thing this guy did, and I liked this too, is when he came 2 times. When I talked to him and he looked me in the eye and he said, Mayor, I'm going to tell you right now, when I'm done with this, you're going to be proud of it.
Good. I like to hear that.
So we're going to hold him to that.
Good. Good. Gentlemen, I congratulate you and thank you for all your efforts behind the scenes, because it was a huge, huge project to try and get it to this point. And now we're excited about seeing what's going to happen in the next months. But it took a supreme effort to get it this far. So congratulations.
Thanks for having us.
No, glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks.
Jeff, always an honor. Your honor. See you soon. We're going to do another show here too.
One.
We'll be back shortly with another show, but right now that's it for this edition of the Roundtable. See you soon.